I don't know what else to say. Sometimes the break and retest is just so clean, and if you can read it properly, if you just take your shot, you can win these trades. Hey guys, it's Will. Welcome to the channel. I'm a part-time day trader trying to become a full-time. If you're seeing this video, I'm breaking down the last week, which is right now November 21st on the Friday. So technically it's the last week if you're watching it now, and I am going to break down 2 trading days, which is November 21st and also November 20th, and it just had super clean levels. These are just super clean break and retest, and if you can read it, if you can trust the system, you can trust the process, then the break and retest is just really clean. First of all, we are looking at the ES, and I am going to zoom out to the bigger time frames. Let's go to the 1 hour on the ES, and we can see from the previous day, which was November 20th, we had a really big downside in the market, so it kind of went straight down. So now I have a zone. I have my supply zone up here, and I also have my 6,000 level to the 65.95, which is a pre-market high and also the pre-market low from the current day. Where did I get this level from? The 6,600 to the 65.95. We can see from the left, we have this lower here, which is around 65.95. Look to the left more, all the way to the left. This is around October, September. 6,000 is right here, also right here, and these lows right here as well. So it's a range between 6,600 and 65.95. Then we go to the current day and we zoom in, and for now I'm not really sure what level it can actually be. We can see the market is rejecting 65.95, but is also rejecting around the 6,600 right here. So that's why I had a zone. And if you see, is that there is the break and retest right there. That's just like so clean. There's a supply rejection, it finally breaks up, it breaks back above. Even though the previous day is not that clean, you can see that the pre-market is just wicking down and rejecting that level, and then all we need is we have a small range here. It does a break and retest, and that was the long that you needed. There's 2 break and retests here. You can see the bigger time break and retest, but I trade on the 2-minute time frame. So when you go to the 2-minute time frame, you get that break and retest right there, and that was also really clean. But if you wanted more continuation, you trust your process still, you trust your plan, you trust your levels, and that can be a better long opportunity. The thing is though, I did not take this trade. I kind of went to the gym early because I thought I had no trades. So I had this zone here, and in the morning we kind of just went up, we rejected the market. So I'm like, okay, maybe this pre-market high is actually the proper level. It comes up, it rejects again, but then sort of later on the day it starts like going down and up. It was like very choppy, and I was thinking maybe it can break down this level and give me a retest short, but clearly as you see, it got bought back up. And then I think around this time right here, I kind of went to the gym. I could have waited longer for sure, but I do have to work later, so I can't just like stay in my charts all day. I won't have a lot of time to do other things and also work out, so that's why I did leave, and I'm thinking already that there's not going to be a clean setup. While I was at the gym, I saw this break above this level, and I didn't really like how it just went straight up. And although it went straight up, this was the pullback you needed, and for me I couldn't really trust that, but it did actually work. Since I had a zone, I didn't really know if it was going to be the 65.95 or the 6,600. But for me, I wrote 6,600. If you look at the pre-market right here, the pre-market high, the exact high was 65.99. And look right there, if I do draw a line right there, you can see that it did a perfect break and retest right above that level. And you could take a year long right there. Sometimes it's a bit weird if you just have a proper game plan and you just risk that amount, and then that is also your 3-to-1 risk reward. Over here, you can see that it held 6,600. So now it's weird because you see that it holds 65.95 and 65.99, but then later on it holds 6,600. So what's the actual proper retest level? The proper retest level is probably going to be around this range like I drew right here, but that's why you just have to have a game plan, just trust your levels, and just take the trade. I do also want to break down the Thursday, which was the previous day or yesterday, and we can see that the market did just go straight down. The market was chopping up and down, and then later it just got bought back down randomly. There was some form of manipulation or some sort of like just selling. The market gapped up and then it gave back all that move. And this was also a part of my strategy as well, but I just did not have it as my game plan. I mark up my previous day's highs, which is right here on the Wednesday. So we can see that there's a gap over here. The market gapped up all the way up here, and then the market opened right here. Since the market opened up here, and if it fell back down to the previous day's highs, you can actually take this for a long if it actually held. If it held, that was basically the break retest long. Since there's a gap up and the market's already looking weak because there's a supply rejection on top, and it breaks back down and it gives me a retest, then that is a trade as well. It didn't matter anyways because I did not have that as my game plan, and I'm not just going to add some random trade because it wasn't in my game plan. I had to stick to my rules. I had to stick to whatever I wrote down on my game plan. Then when I go to the 2-minute time frame, the market falls down, it holds the previous day's highs, then later it falls down, it gives you that retest right here, retest, and that was the short you needed. This is not the best retest that I like seeing, but it did work. And if you have a game plan, yes, then it works. It doesn't have to always be proper, and it does show it better on the Nasdaq. It did break down, it gave you a nice break and retest. The markets weren't exactly lining. When the market was retesting this level and the Nasdaq was rejecting, the ES was still holding the previous day's highs. So it would have been hard for me to trust, but if I just trusted one and I just stuck to the Nasdaq, I could have won the trade. The last one I want to show you was the break and retest on Tuesday, and this is the actual trade that I took on that week. And this was a pre-market lower here, and what we had was a break and retest. The market broke down, it retested the level, and then it rejected. This was also another retest, and that was also the continuation right there. That's the break and retest for you. Break, retest, and short. And my setup basically happened 3 times this week, but I only caught one of the trade. I was mostly confident in this trade. The other 2 trades, I did not game plan for it. I actually game planned for 2 of them, but I only took this trade. I was more confident in this trade, and it also happened when I had the time to trade. I do want to cut out my stop time, like at 12 o'clock, like when I'm full-time trading. I'll stop trading at 12 o'clock and I'll be able to catch the setups that I'm not catching right now. But who really knows? Those setups I catch, I might be losing. I do want to stay in my charts longer, so I'm able to catch these setups that I'm sometimes missing. That is a little recap that I want to show you guys, the break and retest, how it can happen so cleanly. You just gotta have trust in your levels and you just gotta follow the process. And what I like to say is how you do one thing is how you do everything. Keep staying disciplined, keep staying consistent, and let's just get 1% better every day. And I'll see you in the next one.